Louise Green for MMA Crazy, and I'm joined by Ellanor, who takes on James Gallagher at Bellator Dublin in February, which has just been announced. So how excited are you to be matched up again with him?
I'm over the moon. I'm just absolutely buzzing. I can't wait to get back in. Just really happy the fights came back around, you know. I feel like when it first got announced, when they pulled us last time, I thought there's no way they'd get it back, especially I felt like kind of like James had got a bit of a gifted win his last one as well, and that the fight wouldn't have went that way if it was me in there, you know what I mean? So I did think that it wouldn't come back around, but now that it's back on and it's confirmed and it's going ahead 13 weeks on Saturday, it's just absolutely over the moon.
And talk a little bit about, you know, why you had to withdraw from that last bout.
I fought in South Africa in 2017, and when I fought in South Africa, I did do a brain scan, a mandatory brain scan. I did my brain scan, and the images came back, and there was loads of things that they should have announced on the scan that they didn't, and they just checked the list and just said none to all these daft little things, but that normal things that come up in regular brain scans. So then when I did my scan for the James Gallagher fight, when I was meant to fight him last time, 2 weeks out from the fight, they'd flagged it and said that there's some things that came up in my brain scan that need checking. So I went for an assessment, and basically he checked the assessment from my 2017 one to that scan and said there was massive change. So he was like, there's no way to fight. Pulled us from the fight, and then we eventually got the images from South Africa from the original scan, and the images were completely different to what the report said, and the images were actually exactly the same as the images to the James Gallagher scan. So I was like, no further risk. So to simplify it all, basically I'm exactly the same as what I was the whole time I've been fighting, so there's no further risk, so there's no reason why I shouldn't have been in that fight now. So I think that's kind of why they kind of did us a solid and put it back on as well, because they knew how much I wanted this fight and obviously how much James wanted it, so I'm glad they put it back together, you know what I mean. It's going to be a wild one for sure, and that's what I want to be in, you know. I want to be in these kind of fights my whole life, so I'm buzzing for it.
Yeah. And it's so talk a bit about how you felt then, you know, knowing those results and knowing that you had to be pulled, because obviously this is your first main event for Bellator. You know, you were coming off of your debut. How did you feel, you know, when you heard that news that you had to withdraw from that bout?
Lowest point in my life by far. Just absolutely ridiculous. It's funny that he's just done that, because loads of people kept doing that, isn't there? He's just hating it as well. Well, but it was really bad time in my life, you know, like all that stuff was happening with my brain scan at the same time. My mum was in hospital in a coma, you know what I mean? Like, it was actually, she was in intensive care, and then the day the fight was meant to happen was the day she ended up in a coma. Then 2 weeks later she died, and then so all that was hit us at one time. So it was just a really bad, just a bad time for us. So it was like, as soon as all this news came out that I would fight again, it was kind of like just kind of lit the fire in us, you know what I mean? It just kind of like give us the opportunity to put some of all my attention on, you know, like this. I'll be more motivated and I'll be better than I've ever been in my life for this fight now, you know. So it's just it was Bellator's really looked after us then. Absolute blessing that they've given us this one back, because it's really completely got us through that horrible time, and I feel great now, you know what I mean? I feel $1 million, and it's all through just having this fight line back up and being able to finally get to the kind of places I always believed my career should have went, you know what I mean? So because when I thought it was all said and done, it ended on I know my last fight was a win, but I just didn't feel like I'd done myself justice. I feel like there's so many more big fights that I should have and do, you know what I mean? So I'm just absolutely over the moon that it's come back around. Like,
were you nervous for your Bellator debut? You know, why weren't you so, you know?
I was shitting my pants, to be honest. Like, I am every fight. It's a big part of it, you know, and I feel like that's why I love it so much. If it was easy, you'd see every single person in the world wanting to have an MMA fight, you know, and the reason why you don't is because of how hard it is and how much of a task it is to get in there every time. And especially the guy I was fighting my last fight, I was fighting Nathan Grayson. If you watch any of his fights, win or lose, he's an absolute monster, and he sleeps people for fun, and it's a tough fight. So I knew I was going to be in for a super hard fight then anyway, so that was more nervous. And then obviously I went to Sweden like 2 weeks out from the fight as well when I fought Nathan Grayson, and came back super heavy as well, so I had a horrible cut as well. So that fight was just, the whole thing was just a big like emotional journey, you know what I mean, to get through that, and then to have the fight and win the way I did was just even more so that, you know, just kind of just more belief in myself, because I know how far I can go and how much I'm willing to win, you know what I mean. And I feel like that's the defining factor in this fight. Like, I feel like when the going gets tough with some people, they kind of fade and give up. Whereas like there's no quitting me, and you'll have to put me to sleep or knock us out to finish this because I'll not stop. And I feel like that's why I'll win. You know what I mean?
So talk about the matchup then. And what do you think about James? Because obviously he's such a big kind of figure in the Bellator European scene. So what do you think about having him as your opponent?
Yeah, it's great. He's a really big name, and especially worldwide, but especially in the European series, he's really well known. And I feel like me just walking into this fight, I'll just be able to take all that from him. You know, I feel like he's kind of had a kind of way paved for him a bit. You know what I mean? I feel like he's had one really tough test, which was Ricky Banderas, and he's a killer. You know, so there's no shame losing to him. But I do believe that, like, aside from Jeremiah Labiano, I feel like he was quite decent fighter, and obviously aside from that, I feel like they've given some kind of gifted wins. So I'm glad that they've let me get back in for this fight now, because I know I can cause a lot of problems for him. So style-wise, I feel like I'm a nightmare matchup for him anywhere the fight goes. Feet and wrestling on the ground, I feel like my grappling's, you know what I mean? I feel like I really will show me level, and I do feel like I will win convincingly.
How do you imagine getting your hand raised in the 3 arena?
I'm going to bash him up on the feet to the point where he's kind of running, and I feel like he'll panic and try and take us there, and I think I'll submit him. That's how I feel like I win. I feel like I will win within the distance. I'd love to knock him out, but I feel like when the panic sets in, people try to do anything they can to stay out of that range, you know what I mean? And they'll try and hug your hips and stuff. So I feel like I'll submit him. I think I'll submit him within the distance, definitely. So I don't take on the distance at all.
We look forward to seeing it. Thank you very much. Thank you.